Welcome to this lesson on while loops in Python. In programming, decision-making is crucial, and loops are a fundamental concept that allows us to repeat actions until a certain condition is met. This lesson will help you understand how to effectively use while loops in Python, enabling you to create powerful and efficient programs. Don't worry if this feels new at first. This section covers what's a while loop. A while loop is a control flow statement that allows code to be executed repeatedly based on a given condition. As long as the condition evaluates to true, the code block within the while loop will continue to execute. Once the condition becomes false, the loop terminates. Here is the basic syntax of a while loop. The samples on screen walk through this step. Take a moment to read through them. Now, how while loops work. To understand how while loops function, let's break down the components. First, condition. This is an expression that evaluates to true or false. The loop continues as long as this condition is true. Finally, code block. This is the set of instructions that will run each time the loop iterates. It's crucial to ensure that the code within the loop eventually changes the condition to avoid creating an infinite loop. Here's an example of a simple while loop. See the example on this slide. Pause if you want to study the details. In this example, we initialize a variable count to 0. The while loop checks if count is less than 5. If it's, the code block executes, printing the current value of count and then incrementing it by 1. This process repeats until count reaches 5, at which point the loop terminates. Now we're on infinite loops. While loops can lead to infinite loops if the condition never becomes false. This happens when the code inside the loop doesn't modify the condition appropriately. For example, the samples on screen walk through this step. Take a moment to read through them. In this scenario, the loop will print 0 indefinitely since count is never increment, causing an infinite loop. It's essential to carefully plan the condition and the code block to avoid this situation. Now, using while loops with user input. While loops can also be useful for scenarios where you want to keep asking for user input until they provide a valid response. Consider the following example. I'll let you read the examples on screen rather than reading every line aloud. In this case, the loop continues to prompt the user for input until they type exit. This is a practical example of using while loops to control program flow based on user interaction. In this lesson, we covered, first, the definition and syntax of while loops. Also, how while loops function and the importance of modifying conditions within the loop. Also, the concept of infinite loops and how to avoid them. Finally, practical examples of using while loops, including user input scenarios. Now put what you've learned into practice. Now that you have a good understanding of while loops, it's time to put your knowledge to the test. Here are some exercises you can try. First, write a while loop that counts down from 10 to 0, printing each number. Also, create a while loop that prompts the user for a number and continues to ask until they enter a positive number. Also, build a simple guessing game where the user has to guess a number between 1 and 5. The game should continue until the user guesses the correct number. Finally, implement a while loop that calculates the sum of all even numbers entered by the user until they enter a negative number. Happy coding!